My father is the breadwinner while mom is a stay-at-home mom. She handles everything around the house like cooking, mopping, washing, laundry, etc. I'm the oldest and I try to help, but really there's only so much I can do while my dad just gets home at the end of the day and literally complains about everything, like how the carpet isn't clean or how the food is cold. As a result, I'd have to listen to a huge argument daily between him and mom. It's exhausting, but honestly, I think that my dad is in the wrong here. I tried talking to him to get him to see how his behavior is, but to no avail. So what I did was pick a day off for him and pretend to act like him. I put together an outfit that looked like a suit and put black tape over my lips to look like a mustache. At 6 p.m., I went inside the house, shouted I quote "I'm home," then sat next to him in the living room and started kicking my shoes while complaining about the state of the house at the top of my lungs. He glanced at me confused, asking what I was doing. I ignored him, then started yelling about the carpet being dirty, shower not ready, the kids needing to be quiet, and so on. He kept staring while mom and my siblings laughed. My youngest brother kept pointing towards me saying, "This is daddy." I then proceeded to yell about dinner, then berated my mom for not preparing it before time. My dad stopped me and in a serious tone asked what I was doing. I turned to him and said, "What? Can't a man effing rest after working long hours?" in the most macho voice I could muster. My dad got the hint because this was the common phrase he uses daily. He went quiet and avoided looking at me. I stopped the act and told him I was trying to show him what he's like every day when he comes home from work. He said nothing, just went outside and refused to speak to me. Later he went on about how I mocked and invalidated him, that he does work hard and me doing this was disrespectful and invalidating. Mom said it was funny but also thought I hurt my dad's feelings and I could have gotten the message across some other way instead. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. You held up a mirror to his behavior and he didn't like what he saw. He didn't even realize he was looking in the mirror until the end. Then all the feelings crashed down hard on him. The fact he went quiet, instead of exploding in anger, to me says there is hope. Like many dudes his age, he struggles to process those emotions. But he recognized he was feeling more embarrassed, hurt than angry it seems. The key is to understand and withhold judgment, to recenter the convo on not just his pain, but everyone's feeling pain, and moving forward. That's tough, and you're a kid, it's not your responsibility to do it. You would be morally justified to say F off. But I always ask, do you want to win or be right? I would also recommend you having a private chat with your mom. Explain to her that me acting like dad wasn't just about pointing out his bad behavior towards you. I also wanted to point out how your marriage affects the whole family. The daily fights and dad's yelling affects everyone. We all feel it when it gets to the time dad is due home and we prepare to listen to our dad to be mean to our mom. It affects all of us knowing our dad doesn't respect our mom. Every day we all watch your hard work. We have started trying to help you out because we know our dad doesn't appreciate or respect the hard work you do. It's so bad that younger brother recognized I was pretending to be dad so quickly, yet dad didn't know what was going on until the last minute. Dad's just clued into how toxic he's being without realizing he was being toxic. I expect dad to still be broody for a while, but now would be a good time to have a sit down with him if he's cooled off enough, explaining how you feel and how you feel he treats your mom. And most importantly, what he's showing to your sibling and showing them it's okay to be like this when it isn't. Breadwinner doesn't mean you get to throw your weight around as soon as you get home. Breadwinner with a saw parent should ultimately be praising the saw parent for continually keeping the place tidy and taking care of cooking, children. Maybe this is the wake-up call your father needs. Stepmom have way too many kids. I have a bio sister and 7 adopted siblings, 3 boys and 4 girls. All of them were in foster care and most of them have some issues and you have to walk on eggshells around them. This story is mostly about the oldest, Abby. They just took Abby in a few months ago and are trying to adopt her. Before Abby, my dad and stepmom said they were done fostering and adopting kids, but 2 girls they adopted like 3 years ago are Abby's bio sisters, so they decided to take her in too. I'd have to say Abby's the worst out of the adopted kids. She doesn't really talk when we're all together. She just sits next to my stepmom or one of the nannies. She also gets really weird about her stuff, like if she had a pack of cookies and I ate one, she wouldn't eat them anymore and would go find something else to eat. Same with video games. She likes to play Minecraft and she'll let us join her, but if you touch anything that she built, the whole world is suddenly ruined for her. My dad and stepmom put a snack bar in Abby's room because there are days where she won't leave her room and sometimes doesn't let anybody in, and they think this will get her to eat on those days. I checked it out once when she was in therapy and she has really good snacks in there. She also loves music and has a crap ton of headphones. Like she has AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, 2 different kinds of Bose headphones, and another kind but I don't know what it is. She came with one of the Bose and the other kind, but the rest were gifts from my dad, stepmom, and their family. She always has headphones on and makes sure they're all charged all the time. It's kinda an obsession for her. Abby and my stepmom and my sister were hanging out in my dad's room and I needed headphones, but I couldn't find mine, so I went to Abby's room, borrowed the AirPods Maxes and took a fruit roll-up and bag of cookies from the snack bar. No harm was done and I was going to charge the headphones and give them back when I was done with them. Abby went in her room and knew that someone was in there and threw a temper tantrum. It took my stepmom and the nanny all day to calm her down. They found out I went in her room and tried to ground me, but I think she was overreacting, and if anything she should be punished for the temper tantrum. After they tried to ground me, I called my mom, told her what happened, and she came to pick me up so I wouldn't be grounded for Abby's temper tantrum. Now my dad's mad at me for breaking the rules and going to my mom to get out of punishment, and my mom for not punishing me. Am I bad guy? You are the bad guy. Why did you feel you have the right to go into her room and take something that isn't yours? I get that you are 15, but you need to realize that not everything is about you and you are not entitled to do what you want. Sounds like Abby might be autistic or suffering from some sort of abuse in her past. There is a reason people aren't allowed in her room. There is a reason that she acts the way that she does. What's worse is that it sounds like she has never done anything to cause you to be so casual about ignoring her boundaries. If I were your dad, I would tell you to just stay at your mom's until you are ready to apologize and accept your grounding. I would also add to the grounding for playing the I'll just go to my mom's card. If I were dad, the punishment would still be active when Opus decided to come back to the house. You don't get to run away to another parent's house to avoid punishment when you've violated another person's private space and personal property. You probably would throw a tantrum if one of the many kids in the house went into your room without your permission and took your headphones and snacks. Your dad is in the right to ground you for basically stealing. I know you think it isn't fair that Abby has all this stuff, but as you acknowledge for all of the other kids, she has issues, and probably a lot of them because she was older when she went into foster care, or stayed there longer. Add being the new kid in a big family and it's a lot. Some of this trauma comes out as being possessive of her stuff because she's probably had a lot of her stuff, at least the nice stuff, stolen or broken in the homes she's been in before. You know the rules, you broke them. She is your sister, adopted or biological, she is your family. Think about what she is going through, and whether you would like it if someone who is supposed to be supporting you is behaving the way you are. Learn boundaries and learn respect. I have ADHD and autism. I've been with my job for 12 years. In July 2021, the company hired 4 new people to make the team that I work on. Unfortunately, none of the new people on my team are very nice to me because I'm odd. The only person who is ever kind to me is the new manager of our team. The new people started holding potluck meals. The first time I found out after the fact, while they were eating without me. I asked them to let me know next time and I would bake something. The second time it happened, they said it was an oversight. Oops. By the third time, I got the hint I wasn't welcome. I was hurt but let it go and did my job. Our new manager asked why I never participate in the team potluck. I told her the truth, I'm never invited, but she swore Alana texted me. I told her none of them ever contact me except for essentials by email only, and they make a point to avoid me. When my manager confronted the group, they lied and swore they asked me but were unable to produce the promised text. My manager and boss decided to no longer permit potlucks on company property. The next day, they cornered me in the break room when I went to eat lunch and began to shout at me for ruining their lunches. I ended up having a meltdown. I told them I didn't ask our manager to do anything about it, that our manager said they called it a team lunch, that I was part of the team too, and she was bothered that I was excluded and took it upon herself to do something about it. I said that I knew I was weird and that was why they didn't like me. I told them that I have ADHD and I'm autistic and I'm doing the best I can to fit in. But I'm not stupid. I know I'm always being left out on purpose and lied to and about, and that it hurts to never feel like I fit in or matter to anyone. By the end I was sobbing myself sick and my mom had to pick me up early because I was panicking so badly. I found out later my coworkers were put on administrative leave without pay and forced to go to sensitivity training before they could come back to work. A few days later, Tom approached me to apologize and said his nephew was autistic, too, and he should have realized and done better. I asked him, if someone treated your nephew the way you treated me for over a year, and only apologized after getting caught and punished for it, what would you tell your nephew to do? Would you tell him to accept that apology? He quietly admitted he wouldn't, that he'd tell his nephew to tell them to go FK themselves. I told him to go tell himself that, get back to work, and leave me alone. No one else even tried after that. My manager is now saying I overreacted and should just accept the apology and give them another chance to keep the peace. My job coach says I should apologize too, but I really don't want to. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. A year, and your manager is saying you're overreacting. They're underreacting. Opus, tell them it's not that you're rejecting Tom's apology, you just prefer to see it in changed behavior before you can accept it wholeheartedly. Sensitivity training isn't enough. Your coworkers did this with intent for a year, and then had the audacity to shout at you when their shite behavior was called out. I do think that what you said to Tom was perfect. Us put a mirror up to it. Let them invite Opus out the next time and show they mean it with kindness instead. You were treated badly for over a year, then ganged up on and bullied. You will do your best at your job, but they just need to leave you alone and stop pressing the issue. It is not on you to smooth things over from your side so the deliberate bullies feel better and comfortable thinking that what they've done is forgiven and forgotten with a couple of sentences. You don't want to be made to accept apologies, nor give any. You just want to be allowed to get on with it. Accepting an apology is a personal choice, not something that should be subject to a superior's order. He only apologized after you said you were autistic. You shouldn't have to state your disabilities to get people to treat you like a human being. As an autistic, I'd also tell them to go freak themselves. My husband, 33 male, and best friend, 37 male, is infertile. He got divorced 2 times because of it and because he lied and hid his infertility. And his life hasn't been the same the day he was told he can't have kids. He has always had a soft spot for children, and when he found out that my husband and I are expecting, he was so thrilled and started buying us gifts and decor pieces that he made from his woodwork for the baby. My husband thinks that those are all nice gestures, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable, especially with how much he keeps mentioning the baby. A few days ago, my husband and I found the gender of the baby. The minute we told Will, he started calling the baby a random name he picked and was going to give to his baby if he wasn't infertile. He then started begging us to use this name, and my husband said it was a done deal. I refused, but my husband called me heartless and asked me to do this one small, nice gesture for his struggling friend to give him closure and honor him after all the things he has done for us. I flipped and said it's my baby, not his. Will heard this and left immediately. My husband yelled at me saying it's his baby too, and my behavior towards Will was abhorrent. He left after him and didn't come back till the morning. He kept saying the same thing and pressuring me to agree on the name, but I refused. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. I'm assuming your husband is in love with Will, and they plan to run off together with your child. Is your husband also building his friend an art room in your house? Mom and dad have rights to name the baby. Nobody else. If mom or dad doesn't like a name, it shouldn't get included in the list of potential names. Why is your husband picking a friend over his wife? That should be your concern here. Also, your husband's friend needs therapy, not to pick baby names for closure. Your husband is actually a bad friend for entertaining this. He probably would feel some claim on the baby if he named it, and living vicariously through them. I have a feeling her husband and his friend are planning on running away with the child when it's born. Opus, please have a security alert period and reassess your life with your husband. I have developed some fainting issues and weakness in my legs that makes it kinda difficult to get around without assistance. When it first started happening years ago, I was able to use crutches to keep me upright, but then the fainting got worse, so I had to rely mostly on a wheelchair to maintain my independence and to stay safe. All that being said, I can and do still use my legs. My family lives in a 2-story house, so I use my chair on the first floor, but on the second floor I usually stick to my crutches or walk on my own if I feel well enough. It's not too bad, BC. The floor up here is carpeted anyway, so it's softer when I do fall, lol. My sister invited her friend Sarah over recently. I know her, we went to the same HS and have mutual friends, but we're not close. Sarah came up the steps with my sister just as I was walking out of the bathroom. I waved to them both, but Sarah gave me a weird look. A few days after that, I was at this local froyo place with some friends. Sarah was there too. I ended up dropping my spoon on accident, so I asked her if she would grab me another one. BC, I didn't want to wheel my way across the store. She rolled her eyes and said I needed to stop faking for sympathy. BC, she knew I was totally capable of getting it myself. Everyone looked at her like she'd lost it, but I just let it go and went to grab one. She stopped my chair with her foot and said I could walk to do it. She was getting on my nerves, and my froyo was melting SMH, so I looked at her and said, I know it's hard to wrap your mind around, but sometimes, disabled people can still use their legs for walking short distances. I can't walk across this store without falling, so please stop being a D and move your foot. I finally got myself the spoon, and by the time I came back, Sarah was gone. One of our mutual friends said that Sarah just didn't know why I use a wheelchair, and I didn't have to be rude and embarrass her like that. A few other people agreed with them, but my best friend is on my side and she thinks Sarah absolutely had it coming. BC, of how she was acting to begin with. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. You could have cursed her out in front of the entire establishment and I still wouldn't think you were in the wrong. She could have asked privately instead of trying to make you prove something to her. The default setting for decent people encountering someone disabled should be to believe them, not demand to know the ins and outs of their disabilities. Not everyone who uses a wheelchair is completely incapable of using their legs, and if she didn't know why, she could have asked you. Instead, she literally blocked your wheelchair with her foot and attempted to embarrass you. I have no idea how anyone you were with could think that was over the line of you to call her out on what is without a doubt abhorrent behavior on her part. She's just upset that instead of achieving her goal of embarrassing you, the tables were turned on her. There was zero need for Sarah to do anything. If she didn't want to get you a spoon, fine. But the minute she put her foot in your path, she lost all credibility. Sarah didn't need to embarrass herself by being a nosy busybody and nominate herself the wheelchair police. You're right, plenty of people can walk, but rolling around is much easier. Sarah F-ked around and found out and her crappy friends are trying to cover for her. Don't back down. I have a sister that's 6 years older than me. My parents for years cancel on me last min because of my sister. I have a basketball game. Oops, sorry sister doesn't feel like going out. I am graduating. Oops, sorry sister had a bad day at work. They have missed both major and smaller events in my life because of her meltdowns. I met the love of my life. We decided to tie the knot. From the beginning I told my parents how I am worried my sister will ruin another special moment in my life. My mom told me over and over again it would not happen. The day of my wedding, I received a voicemail from my mom saying they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick and she was upset. I was hurt. My best man, however, is a jokester. He took my phone, then went to my fiancée and asked if he could post a video of our wedding as a gift on social media. She loved his idea. I had no idea about it until I came home. Our honeymoon was at a lakeside cabin. No cell service. The post caption was my best friend. He is an amazing person even if his parents never showed up for him. Video was still pictures of us next to her parents, me on the dance floor, cutting the cake, where you would normally see both parents in wedding pictures. The sound behind the video was my mom's voicemail explaining how they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick. I came home a week later to hundreds of messages. Family members from both sides insisting I take it down. I was told my sister hasn't stopped crying. My mom is refusing to leave the house. I may be the here. I didn't take it down when I got my messages. I didn't call my family back right away. I waited until my vacation time was over at work and enjoyed my time with my wife in our new home. Before I contacted anyone, my dad told me to take down the video. It was just a bad night for them, that they will make it up to me and my wife for not coming. My reply was exactly, how do you plan to make up my wedding? It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You choose to ignore my feeling on the whole matter. Then he just repeated he will make it up to me. I told him I would take down the video only when he made up missing my wedding. Flustered, we both hung up the phone before we both said things we shouldn't have. Not the bad guy. They were finally called out on their blatant favoritism and they obviously didn't take it well. I'd hold off inviting them anywhere or to anything, Opus, at least for a while. Don't make them your first priority when you clearly aren't theirs. Focus on your new wife and your absolutely awesome best friend. It was just a bad night, out of many, many other bad nights where they ignored you in favor of your sister's whims. See if your best man can pull up footage of your graduation, and maybe pictures from games they missed, and produce a greatest hits compilation video to post right next to the wedding video. There are legitimate reasons for missing your kid's wedding. Anthrax exposure, caught in a hurricane, deathly ill due to rabid weasel bite ... Your favorite child's pet being sick is not one of them. They were hoping to hide the fact that they're garbage parents who don't love their child. The truth hurts sometimes and your parents and sister just got whammed. They didn't have a good reason to miss it, and they're rightfully mortified. They made the bed, they can lie in it. I was over my boyfriend's apartment this weekend and I was cooking dinner because he was studying for exams. I made pasta and a chunky sauce with meatballs and veggies. I told him dinner was ready and he goes, "What's for dinner tonight, BTCH?" with like a lot of emphasis on the last word. I was fed up. I'd had a pretty rough day with work and I have some awfully bad associations with that word being used by other people in my life who were pretty abusive. So I was so irritated that I dropped the pot of pasta sauce I'd been carrying right on the ground and was like, well, nothing's for dinner tonight now. And I better not hear you using that word again. It's for the girls. He was freaking out about how sauce had landed on his rug and he even said, "You're seriously acting like a bench right now." I dunno what else to call it. I just walked out and got takeout for myself and went to my friend's house. She thought it was funny, but my boyfriend was furious. He kept texting and calling and sending me voice memos trying to explain that saying "what's for dinner tonight BTCH" was a TikTok trend, and that he was just quoting something as a joke to put on TikTok. I thought that was the shittiest excuse ever. It doesn't matter if he saw it as a joke or stole the joke. It was still disrespectful. But it didn't change the fact he thought that crap was funny, to demean me when I was trying to do him a favor. Like heck, I came over when he was studying to make a home-cooked dinner, and he decides it's time for jokes. So I put my phone on Don't Disturb for the night and split a bottle of wine with my friend and her roommate. The next morning he was sending me angry texts demanding I clean his rug because he was too busy with exams to do it. I was shocked he left it overnight. That's disgusting. I texted him back saying, "Yeah, so that's the BTCH tax, honey. Leave me alone till you're ready to handle your own cooking and cleaning because this BTCH isn't anymore. Also, it's vile you left that soaking in all night." He called me and told me that he was okay with doing his own household work, but I did throw a full pot of sauce at the ground, so that's on me to clean up. I told him, "Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable doing chores for you if you see me like your BTCH." He told me he didn't and it was just a trend, and I got ticked off. He was playing that TikTok trend BS excuse again, and I told him, well, I'm starting a trend called saucing, where as a little joke people throw pasta sauce around. You can't be mad because it's just a little trend, a little jokey joke, just a little prank, bro. He got really ticked off and hung up on me, and now I'm seriously wondering if this dumb F King TikTok joke is gonna be the end of things between us. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. I googled the trend, and it is all about seeing how women react to a knowingly offensive comment. And usually they are offended. That sauce on the rug. It's marinara. Get the F out of this relationship. He left sauce on the floor overnight in his apartment for her to clean up. What's he gonna be like if they stay together? Like one day she gets home from work and the baby has sat in its own crap all day and he's like, oh, it's your baby. You had him, you changed his diaper. Or oh, you left dishes in the sink after cooking, I'm not cleaning them up. I didn't make the mess. Go find someone whose maturity and sense of humor match yours. This one ain't it. It's not the sauce that's the problem. It's the whole man. I love your whole energy and vibe. Don't go back to him. He had enough time to say a simple word, sorry. He didn't. Shows you what kind of person he is.